So I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and I kinda really loved it. And this is just kinda weird to me because I wasn't even excited for this movie, but this movie made me feel like a kid again. And it's extra weird because rewatching the first two movies, I don't feel they particularly hold up for me. I'd give them both like a 6 out of 10. But having said that, I just get happy seeing these characters again. I really grew up with them and I feel like they're a family to me, or at least what I wish to get out of a family someday. It's some sort of parasocial superhero movie experience. I've been trying to write a review for this movie over and over again, and I still don't really know how to talk about it because this is just a very personal experience. The first movie meant a lot to me when I was 10 years old. It felt inspiring, it felt funny, and it felt edgy but also heartfelt. I was just having so much fun with it. It felt just like a hug, and I think a lot of these Guardians of the Galaxy movies worked for people like me, people that were kind of like shut in, people that were a bit introverted or like felt like misfits, didn't fit in. And this movie said, yeah, you can be a misfit, but it can still be fun. There might just as well be other misfits just like you, and maybe you'll save the galaxy one day together. It was just fun and inspiring, and yeah, like a hug. It was a parasocial experience. It stuck with me for life, and I still, these characters are here permanently. And I think that's how it felt for a lot of people, given how much money these movies make, and how many people think the Guardians are the best superheroes of the MCU. And I haven't been watching any Marvel movies since Infinity War in 2018, so this was special almost. It doesn't even feel like a Marvel film, it feels more like its own space opera kind of adventure, with superhero elements in it for sure. But there isn't like a huge conflict in this third movie. It is all relatively character focused. They're not saving the galaxy this time, but it feels like they might as well just be saving the galaxy this time. It's very, very grand and epic, while being the least overall destructive plot. I don't know how to explain it, but it's great. I find it interesting. It took a bit for me to get into the groove of this movie. It starts off way too fast, it's a little boring at points, but gradually I became 10 years old again. I felt that feeling from the first one, and rewatching the first one, I can't really quite get that feeling from it now. I can only get to the feeling from the first one by watching this new one. And that's really interesting, because I've matured, and these movies have matured, these characters have matured, and it's like, that's the past. I can't relive the past, but I can remember the past and feel the past, and that's what this movie is like to me. That's what makes it so incredibly special. I guess I just also like that this is the most personal Marvel film I've ever seen in terms of like actual, literal personality. This feels like the film James Gunn always was supposed to make but just didn't, and now it's here. This one feels more like it's a genuine 80s kind of experience than the other two films. Because, the character of Peter Quill was always very much into 80s culture and 80s music, but none of the films ever totally felt like they belonged in the 80s. They were always either too CG heavy or just too ugly in their color grading, because that was 2014 Marvel, I guess. But now this one genuinely has awesome, funny production and costume design that really does bring a retro vibe to this movie. Parts of it feel kind of like 60s, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Other parts of it feel like 80s kind of space opera stuff, like Star Wars or Star Trek. It really has that vibe that movies try to avoid because everything needs to be really modern right now. But this is just campy and fun, and it seems like even the camera changed at points, like it changed the film stock. Maybe it was just an effect, but it really added so much entertainment to the movie. And even mentioning that this is the most campy and fun of these movies is interesting, because at the same time, this is the most serious one, and it really has to go on a journey to become more campy and fun as it continues. Again, interesting stuff. This combination of serious and funny just really works here. It easily has the best humor out of any Marvel film I've seen. Sometimes it's a bit more understated, other times it's more hilarious. None of it feels mean-spirited like in the second film. This all just like flows really well, like just great banter. There's many more interesting contrasts. The one most notable one is the way that 80s music is used a bit less here. Like, this feels like the most 80s film in terms of visuals, yet the music here sometimes is from the 2000s. In most notable scenes, it's music from the 2000s, and again, great contrast. A movie about maturing, leaving the 80s stuff in the past, going further to 2000s nostalgia. But again, obviously this movie is set place in the 2020s, most likely. But, It signifies maturity, it signifies growing older and liking more recent stuff and resonating with more recent stuff. Learning to like new stuff as an adult that you didn't know as a kid. And I guess that detail just summarizes why I love this movie. I am in love with films that are able to say such meaningful and beautiful, purposeful stuff just through music or cinematography. It really takes advantage of it being a movie, and that's special. I think that's fucking awesome. So my computer is being annoying right now. I'm gonna stop recording this review, I guess, but yeah, this is a good superhero space movie. I am giving it a 7 out of 10 for now, and maybe it'll go higher on a rewatch, maybe not, but I enjoyed it loads. Maybe I don't know, I'm really fucking bad at making videos. I feel super insecure about these, but if I'm up to it at some point, I might make a video about my thoughts on this whole trilogy. But right now, I enjoyed this movie, and if you care about these characters at all, you should watch this film, because it's good.